Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Griot's Garage YouTube Live. I'm Nick.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Stevie.
The voice behind us, and then of course our team behind the scenes that is making this flawless, no stress,
Oh yeah.
live production.
We're back in normal form.
So, today we've got a fun topic. It's a little early, but at the same time, we kind of thought like, hey, we're not sure where you live. And maybe if you find a nice clear day, like we've had a pretty mild winter, that you can get ahead of some of this winter reset. You're doing your spring cleaning, let's do it. Let's talk about the right approach and what you might do seasonally that is different. And this is way more fun than prepping for winter.
Yeah, we're all anxious for springtime to come around, and it never hurts to get prepared a little early. I talked to one of our accounts in Arizona yesterday, and it was 81 down there, so
yeah.
they're ready to go.
All right, so today we're going to cover pretty much everything that is required when you're dealing with a car that's probably more dirty than it would typically be. Look, we're employed by Griot's Garage. We have this wonderful indoor wash bay. Do you repent to the car wax gods and suggest that your winter washing regime is different from how it is in spring and summer?
Yes.
Okay, I admit myself. So we are humans. But there's a great way to do this safely and kind of establish what you're going to do for show season. And then obviously, there's different types of cars that may be hibernating all winter that may not need a lot of this stuff, but you're still going to look at a couple things that you can do to get prepared.
Yeah, and it's a great time to get all that deep cleaning done that you may have been neglecting during the winter time when you're kind of in survival mode, just trying to keep the car clean when you get a chance. There's probably lots of buildup in areas that you haven't addressed during your potentially more condensed winter wash methods. So, and of course we've got a giveaway.
Yeah.
So don't forget to ask questions for your chance to win. We're going to do a couple foaming system complete kits, and then we have our new ceramic liquid wax that is out very soon. I think we have about 2 weeks until that goes live on the website, but we're going to be giving some of that away early as well. So make sure you comment, ask questions to enter for a chance to win either one or maybe both of those giveaways.
Yeah, we love being generous. We love rewarding participation. So even if your question is off topic, we may not get to it today, but we do have a follow-up segment we call No Questions Left Behind. In which we take all the questions that we didn't address and answer them and post that on our YouTube channel on Friday. So if this is your first time here, definitely raise your hand in the comment section. Definitely participate. We love to reward people that are just seeing this for the first time. And then if your question doesn't get answered, we still love you, and we might or probably will address it in No Questions Left Behind. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for being here. We love doing this.
Yes.
It always seems like it happens a lot faster, but it also feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while for me because I was only in a snippet of the last one with the monster truck.
Oh yeah,
that was a fun one.
That was fun.
But yeah, it's good to be back in normal form, and spring's right around the corner, which I know I'm very excited about.
I know. I rewatched a little bit of that monster truck one because I was worried if I came off as too much of a mouth breathing fanboy, and I was actually surprised. I was like, oh yeah, I've been dreaming about meeting a monster truck driver and standing this close to a monster truck since I was a little boy, and I held it together. I might be quasi professional.
Yeah, that was pretty cool having that thing in here. Definitely the biggest vehicle we've had in the wash bay.
And some unique situations. So obviously, again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have a ton of educational content on here, in particular these long format lives that we've done for years now.
Yep.
And we can't stop doing them because you guys like them so much, and we always have new stuff to tell you about. But
I think going on 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Time
First
flies.
Ones, if you go back, they weren't that good.
A little rough for sure.
It's probably Matt's fault. He wasn't making us look very good. But, we do have some events coming up too. Next weekend, we will be down in Amelia Island, one of my favorite events that happens annually. Obviously, my favorite is Monterey, but Amelia Island is so different, so beautiful to be down in Florida at this time of year. For us in Washington, it's a major blessing, but it's a much more casual concours event, a lot more accessibility. And we'll be sponsoring the Works Reunion. We'll be sponsoring the Cars and Coffee event on Saturday before the Concours on Sunday. So definitely go down there. We're doing Concours de Lemons as well. Meet our team. Everybody's excited. Oh, and Radwood.
Yeah.
Radwood. Jeez.
At Amelia.
I just totally brushed over that.
March 2nd.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is next weekend down in Amelia Island. Our events team is looking forward to that one. That's not a bad show to have to go work.
No, that's one I wouldn't mind making it down to that one eventually. If you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button and, of course, subscribe. Like Nick said, helps us out a ton. And get those comments in so you don't miss a chance to win one of the giveaways.
All right, guys, so let us begin. So winter cleaning. Right now, we are looking at my daily driver.
Yep.
2022 Ford Bronco. That I have used indiscriminately through the winter, even with the soft top, which is fantastic. I've actually opened it up a couple times on dry days. But what we're trying to really coach towards is like the heavily soiled winter car that you're using a lot, that's getting exposed to things that it might not get exposed to year round, but they come in droves and or multiply in those winter seasons. So we're looking at a dark green car that kind of masks how dirty this is, but heavy road buildup, some organic material that is kind of like fall remnants here in Washington, so pine needles, broken down leaves. And we're gonna show you just the safest way to approach a deep cleaning wash that would be kind of a reset for spring to assess what you need to do to get it ready for these seasons. It's not, again, as depressing or intense, but it also could open up some pathways to more extensive details such as paint correction, which would be ideal for the time when this car is supposed to shine and look its best.
Yeah, definitely. Usually leading up to spring and summer months is the best time to do a deep dive into all your detailing processes and get your vehicle looking its best for the best weather coming up. You can see we've got a wheel off, so we're going to show you a little bit of undercarriage cleaning and wheels off detailing. Just took one off for time's sake here. We're not going to be doing all of them, but with a newer vehicle like this too, it's a great opportunity to fully reset everything and prevent a lot of the buildup that eventually takes hold and becomes really difficult to address further down the road. Frequent maintenance is easy maintenance. If you do at least one deep dive every year and get into the undercarriage, the suspension, all those parts, you're going to have a much easier time as that vehicle ages and gets older, and help preserve some of that resale value and just the overall condition of the car.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're dealing with in this case, the last time I washed this was in here for product testing. It might have been 6 weeks ago. Now I've been traveling a little bit, but that's not my typical wash regimen when the weather's good and I'm really not hindered by any weather. And I think one of the first questions that we got asked, it's a little up there now, so if you could scroll up on the comments, Stevie, or whomever, is Mark Blakely. He was asking, what is the easiest way to wash your car when it's freezing or near freezing and you can't get your hose out? Feel like I neglect your car for 4 months of the year. Yeah, we're admitting to neglecting our cars relative to the level of care we want to exhibit on the cars that we drive every day. And it really is harder unless you do have a facility like we do, and even so, life gets in the way, and the car that you've chosen to expose to the winter hopefully isn't your prized possession, and you're fortunate enough to have the difference between the two, like a fair weather car and a daily driver, like something that's more utilitarian. And ultimately, two things. You aren't neglecting your car necessarily if you set it up for success entering that season, and we've addressed that before, just really knowing, okay, what's going to affect my car the worst? What are the systems that are going to get harder to manage as the winter comes by? Glass, paint, how can I prevent those road salts and things? So having a intro to these tougher times with the proper protection is a key. Yep. And you're going to see this car is very well protected. So a lot of the cleaning will happen pretty easily, but even so, there are going to be some effects from that weathering and that consistent bad weather. But in freezing temperatures, some of the technology that exists now are waterless washes and rinseless washes. Rinseless clearly being the superior option. Mm-hmm. But that does require frequent use because there's kind of a limit to when a rinseless wash, really has the highest and best utility and is safest to wash an extremely dirty car.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you can't always take your car, if they're open. Some areas during the winter they may not be, but if you do have a filthy vehicle and you want to use a rinseless, we do suggest going to a do-it-yourself car wash and just rinsing it off, take it home quick, get it in the garage, and then proceed to your rinseless process, if you have some of that heavier contaminant there. But it's definitely a limit.
Yeah, and it's just not enjoyable to wash a car in really cold weather. And it was part of the justification for the spend to get us the indoor wash bay. Because we have to test product and validate them year round. And when it's raining sideways and 35 degrees, it's not really an objective environment to test a developmental product, let alone pleasant. I mean, I think, not to bus drive Stevie, but it's been cold enough to make her cry sometimes. So we definitely were looking out for the welfare of our employees by getting this indoor space. But if you have the luxury of a garage, rinseless washing is great. As Sam mentioned, kind of not a tunnel wash, but just the washes where you can pay to use a high pressure tool to get off the heavy soiling or at least the heavy organic contaminant and do a rinse and then introduce a rinseless product. Great options. But yeah, if it's freezing outside, one of the best things you can do, I think, to say I'm not neglecting my car, but I'm just deferring the chore, is not do something dumb like drive through a tunnel wash.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Because you're definitely going to do more damage in that scenario than just skipping a wash for a week and finding a little bit better of a temperature.
Yeah.
So I think that's a trade-off. It's hard for the personality type that we both possess to I got the time to do a chore, I'm just going to not do it. But the cost-benefit analysis would suggest wait a week.
Yeah.
Don't make it so hard on yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's definitely better to leave the car dirty longer than to use a subpar process that you're going to end up regretting when you do get to the point of doing a deep clean and potentially polishing, doing paint correction, and noticing all of those scratches and swirls you may have caused using subpar processes during the winter months.
Yeah, I don't feel guilty about not washing my car versus the actual shame and potential ejection from my family if I drove through a tunnel wash and then had to come in here and answer to you or Stevie or my dad saying, what the hell did you do, son?
Or just generally doing it the wrong way.
I mean, I might as well run over a group of pedestrians driving through a tunnel wash.
It's a cardinal sin around here.
Yeah, so don't do that. Just wait. Rinseless is a great option, but if it is too dirty, then seek those kind of public utilities in the sprayable thing. Don't use the brush.
Yeah, no, don't touch the brush.
Just the high pressure rinse and rinseless washing solution.
Yeah, I think Julie, who's behind the scenes, posted a meme of what people like us see when somebody's using the brush at a drive-through car wash, and it was a guy with a rake. Somebody photoshopped the brush out for a leaf rake.
Might as well be. And actually, we're going to do some pretty objective. I mean, look, if you want some of our most objective and or scientific or deliberate testing we're going to do a series on the damage that those tunnel washes do to your car. Been some of the biggest knockdown, drag-out arguments I've ever been in my life as an employee of Griot's Garage, arguing with an owner of a tunnel car wash that does no damage to the car. Oh, we're going to show you.
Yeah.
So skip that and wait. And then again, we're going to show you this deep dive that, wait for a 45-degree day so you don't have to wear gloves and torture yourself, but there's some great processes here.
Yeah. I think we've probably been talking for long enough now.
Yeah,
so
let's get going
and get to demoing.
So one of the coolest things that some of you all with a lot of snow may have a winter wheel and tire setup. And this transition from winter to spring is generally when you're going to swap those wheels back on. It's also one of the best times to do a wheels off detail. So we did take off the front wheel of this Bronco to come and demonstrate the benefits of it. We have our handy quick jack system. So we lifted up this monstrosity of a modern car, which weighs 6,500 pounds.
Got the front off the ground.
And took the massive mud terrain tires off. But your wheels are generally going to be one of your most dirty systems. And when you do have the opportunity to take them off, I would never miss the opportunity to do the most thorough cleaning you can annually.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you're rotating your tires this time of year to get ready for the drier months, it's a great time to get in there and do a deep clean process. Or, if you're deep cleaning them, don't forget to rotate them when you put them back on.
So generally, when the wheel is mounted on the car, we're very focused on the wheel face, the tire system, and we might have a barrel brush that gets in and definitely at least releases some of the brake dust on it. However, when we do expose the barrel itself, even though, again, I do a pretty darn good job of cleaning these wheels every time because they're high gloss black, definitely know what spots you missed. I can see some patterns with regards to what I'm able to access as part of my routine washing versus things like the back of the actual facing of the wheel and an opportunity to potentially scuff any oxidation on where the wheel hub meets the brake rotor and what that can mean to prolonged corrosion and or ease of removing the wheels when in a situation of panic.
Yeah, especially if you're in the salt belt, in an area that gets lots of rust.
This is a big opportunity. And again, I think in the Midwest too, we've talked about this in the past, the diversity of different chemicals and or salt mixtures that are applied. Are they immediately harmful? No. But with a system like wheels, where you have heat cycles, where those things can embed over time, they can create corrosion and diminish your wheel finish. It's a great time to reset it and protect it. You're not going to experience those salts, but you're definitely going to pull back some of those and not expose them to the high heat and potentially higher usage that you're going to get in the spring and summertime.
Yeah, and even on aluminum wheels, you may not get the rust corrosion on the wheel side, but you're likely going to get it on the rotor side, which can still create difficult removal down the road when you're doing maintenance or taking it to a shop for them to do it, and issues like that. So it's a great time for a reset.
Yeah, so one thing I won't do on wheels off detail every time is clean the backside of the tire. But you can do that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't discourage you.
Say it depends on the car. I mean, mud terrain, it's not the end of the world if it's a little dirty back there.
We're going to go stick this thing in the mud as soon as we can. Yeah. But I'm going to use iron and fallout remover for the wheel surface, in particular because we're addressing areas where I have not mechanically abraded it and most likely have a higher buildup. Whereas if I were cleaning this consistently, I could stick with a more consistent wheel cleaner, such as our standard wheel cleaner, our HD wheel cleaner, which is going to have the same active at a lower concentrate than our iron and fallout remover. But I'm going to ask the chemical to do a lot of the work because this is a deep dive and we're trying to do what we will later expand upon, which is chemical decontamination as part of this. So this will be a murder scene and it's more expensive because of that higher concentrate of sodium thioglycolate. But this is what I want to do as I get into a deep, thorough process.
Yeah, and iron and fallout remover really is going to benefit any wheel in this scenario. A new wheel or a newer wheel like this, you're going to ensure that you're getting off all of those embedded iron contaminants from the brake dust and the rotor to ensure that you're not getting buildup. Because if any of you guys have older vehicles that the wheels may have been neglected or not cleaned frequently in the barrel, you've probably taken them off or seen heavy buildup in brake dust deposits on the inside that are really hard to remove. So keeping up on this is a great thing to do to prevent issues later down the road, keep your wheels looking great. And then if you have an older vehicle that has some of those deposits, iron and fallout remover is going to help remove them. Depending on how bad they are, you may need to do repeated applications, but it's a great way to get all of that barrel to get everything looking good and easier to clean going into the spring and summer months. Yeah,
so key with iron and fallout remover and HD wheel cleaner, cool surface. This car has not been driven since I parked it here this morning. So we don't want to, one, accelerate the potential for it to dry on the surface, and two, we want to let that active ingredient react with the iron ore and the brake dust and any other particulate that the chemical can soften and ease our removal. So we're going to let it dwell for about 3 to 5 minutes, and you may not be able to see the murder scene that is developing here outside of on the hub, but as we rinse, you'll see the floor and know that it's reacting. But really on this oxidation here, and I'm going to take this opportunity to do a little bit of a deviation because I've seen a lot of headlines recently in very reputable newspapers that has made me very angry. So I will raise my hand and again admit in front of all of you, I am not the biggest fan of electric vehicles. Okay.
If that was a secret.
I must say that one of the biggest points of pride that we never celebrate is how amazing Tesla has been with regards to it being a domestic manufacturer of electric vehicles and giving people the option to use them if their use case is appropriate. On top of that, the Cybertruck, I don't know why, I've got really strange taste in cars. It speaks to me. All right, so we've seen a lot of headlines recently about Cybertrucks rusting. Well, it's a stainless steel exterior. Why is the Cybertruck rusting? Oh, it's clearly the facade of Tesla and the false promises. No, this is ferrous metal particles that are embedding itself in the stainless steel that comprises the body. And a product like iron and fallout remover actually is ideal for exactly that. You're just gonna have to chase it because it'll be more visible. On this dark green Bronco, you're never gonna see those ferrous particles. On a high sheen, perfectly clean silver monstrosity that is the Cybertruck, you're gonna totally exaggerate them.
Yep.
So this same product we're gonna use on this entire car, and it's not gonna react the same way. But I just wanna definitely say, I don't like the term fake news, but Cybertruck's rusting is fake news, and we're here to tell you how easy it is to clean up your Cybertruck if you're worried about it rusting. I'm not buying a Cybertruck, by the way. But that was one of the things, I see all these political headlines, I'm like, I know nothing. I just know car wax, man.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, I know something. I should be commenting. They should invite me on a news network. I could weigh in on this one. Come on. So we've got some action here, Sam.
There's definitely some purple running
off.
Here we
go. I want to just
see it.
Kind of
with that tilted backwards, you weren't seeing it. Fab caught me too. I said salt belt. Rust belt is what I meant. If you're in the rust belt, you're going to be exposed to some more of the issues that we're talking about here. And a lot of the methods that we're using do work exceptionally well on removing salt from the whole vehicle, undercarriage. One of the next chemicals we're going to use, our foaming surface prep, is an awesome product for that.
Yeah. So again, we definitely let plenty of time expire. And I'm just going to do the agitation. Any wheel cleaner that advertises no agitation may kind of skew towards alkaline or acidic. In the right experienced hands, those products are awesome. But pH neutrality gives somebody who's doing this routinely the confidence that they're not going to degrade their wheel finish and plenty of working time. I mean, 3 to 5 minutes you'll never get from a high acid or extremely alkaline solution. So. And then the agitation is just going to loosen up any aspects of that chemical reaction that aren't fully done. So
and you guys saw we sprayed this on dry. Nick sprayed it on dry. So the reason for that is to get full strength essentially out of the product that you're spraying onto the wheel, not have it diluted with water that's already on the surface. It also helps the cling and prevents it from running off as quickly. As long as the wheel is cool to the touch, it's totally fine to spray it on dry. You will typically get more of a reaction out of iron and fallout remover that way. Michael Traverso asked, does it turn purple like the HD wheel cleaner does? Yes, it does. You can see it pretty well in there right now.
Go close up.
You get that nice deep purple foam. Like Nick said, it looks like a crime scene when you're doing it out in the driveway and it's all running down your driveway. But essentially the sodium thioglycolate is active in there that's reacting with the iron particles in the brake dust. And that color change that you see is an indicator of that reaction taking place. So you know that you have metallic pads on the vehicle when you see a heavy reaction. There are situations where you may not have metallic pads. Say you're running a ceramic brake pad or a hybrid compound, and you won't get a heavy purple bleed from the reaction. Typically, you'll always get some on the rotor because that is steel, but you may not get it on the face of the wheel or as much in the barrel. So that's something, the product's still working. You can still use it to clean the surface, but if you don't have ferrous metal pads or you're not getting a lot of dust, you may not see that purple.
Yeah, if you're not getting the ferrous metal reaction, lucky you.
Yeah, for sure.
You got some nice brakes and brake pads. You probably have carbon on carbon. You probably have a high performance vehicle. But I can tell you, like, standard brake setups on Porsche 911s and any BMW, you're going to get some crazy brake pads, because
specifically
generally
cars.
you're engineering your brake pad compound to be a little softer, to get better brake grab, right? And that's going to create more dust. So this company was really built on the backs of Porsche and BMW owners, and this is a natural progression for us. So again, we've got a clean wheel now. We've done the mechanical agitation. Like I said, you can do the backs of the tires. I tend not to on these type of cars, but each car demands different circumstances, and you're gonna lift this car up and display the bottom. Yeah, the back of your wheel better be dressed and clean.
Yeah.
But then we'd rinse it off and repeat that process. Now, one element after this, we've essentially done a chemical decontamination and a mechanical cleaning. But after we've rinsed it, we can establish whether or not we have some buildup, such as tar or any other adhered surface contaminants, and even clay this to protect it. So this is a big opportunity when your wheel barrel is exposed like this. Not only how easy it is.
Yeah, for sure. And like Nick said, in this situation, he may not clean the backside of the tire. Just to show you guys a little bit about that process. Foaming surface prep, this is diluted at 10-to-1, is a great product for that. Wheel tire mat cleaner, rubber cleaner are all going to be solid
foaming tire
products.
Cleaner.
Foaming tire cleaner, yep. And I'll just spray this on a section so you can see some of the brown bleed. Tighten that sprayer up. See some of the brown bleed that you'll get, when you're cleaning the backside of a dirty tire that hasn't really been touched before. I think it was Tony DiBartolo that asked, if you're doing this in a garage without a drain, can you just wipe this off? No, we do not recommend using iron and fallout remover dry. You're always going to want to rinse it off, or it will leave kind of a sticky residue behind, as a lot of soaps will if you were to just wipe them off dry.
So Fab said it's time to sell a wheel cleaning stand, and we've explored this, but I've got to give a shout out to one of our partners and influencers. His name is Aiden Templin. What's his Instagram? Is it Aiden MT?
Yep.
Got great YouTube channel, very thorough detailer. He again endorses my taste in cars, so I like.
Oh, he's a nut.
He's a nut. Yeah,
sure.
he's totally part of the clan. He sells what he calls the spinna, and a lot of it is conceptualized for display, but definitely makes rotational cleaning and or subsequent coating and or protection of the wheel very easy.
Yeah.
It's not big enough for a mud terrain tire of this diameter at 35 inches. Otherwise, we would have busted it out and showed it off for him. But Aiden, love you, man. Hope you're watching. And if you want a spinna, Aiden MT on Instagram, and he's got a wonderful YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Send that guy some money.
Yeah, check him out either way. He's also quite funny. So good stuff. A lot of you guys with BMWs are chiming in. Yes, they're terrible for brake dust. If you have a BMW, do yourself a favor and buy some iron and fallout remover and HD wheel cleaner. Going to be two of the best products there.
Yeah. Hey, we do have one thing to mention that we haven't done so far. And we did talk about HD wheel cleaner and its active ingredient, sodium thioglycolate, which will give you kind of the iron ore and ferrous metal reaction that we're seeing. We have a special code for you all. If you use the code SMMAP, you will get a free 22-ounce HD wheel cleaner with a purchase of $30 or more. It's like our marketing department knows what we're talking about. And
easy. Thank you.
We're always trying to share the love. That sale doesn't start for a couple days.
Yeah.
So we're giving it to you guys early, and obviously we're still going to give some free stuff away. Let's rinse this off, man.
Offer ends 3/1, so you have until next Friday.
Because we got big car to wash.
Yeah, so we'll give this a quick rinse. One nice thing about iron and fallout, that gel nature of it gives you a nice long dwell time. Tip that tire over.
Yes, Fab, we know.
As you can see all that purple, brown liquid running out of there. Sorry, Nick. Try not to get you too wet here.
It's all good.
Those wheels have a really nice finish in the barrel too, 'cause even if they were dirty still, you couldn't really tell.
Yeah, it's always funny when we hire new employees and they're like, why does the CEO wear t-shirts? Because, man, I'm going to get dirty at the end of the day. I'm going to go wash some cars. All right? This is my job. I can get wet. So, again, we had a couple of questions. We did the barrel cleaning, which, again, is just great access. If I were looking at an older wheel, like I have my E30M3 is like kind of raw steel on raw steel. And I generally will kind of scrub that with a brass bristle brush just to clean up the hub connection points, and it's ugly. But we had a question from a couple of y'all that were, what's the best post-wash protectant for wheels for heavy brake dust? Now look, I can objectively state that I have put some high solid coatings of wheels or wheel-specific coatings on plenty of wheels. And very different utility. Some performance, some 1990 station wagon, 20-inch dishes. And it's a really hard surface to get consistent, durable protection on. In particular, again, because of the heat cycles, if you're actually using the vehicle, it's going to accelerate the degradation of this. But one of the easiest things that we've always coached is the routine maintenance of clean wheel that's still wet. You can spray ceramic 3-in-1 or ceramic speed shine on it, allow it to dwell for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then rinse it off. Ceramic 3-in-1 going to be the more substantial protection of those two. However, a decontaminated wheel that is then dried, ceramic 3-in-1 is an excellent application. Are you going to get the same durability you do on a paint surface? Absolutely not. I will not promise that, and nor should anyone.
No, it's also easy to reapply to the wheels.
It is, and again, with that kind of routine touch, with the spray on, dwell, rinse off, that's a great one. Now, would I dry this and go straight to ceramic 3-in-1? No, I'd probably still do a clay process, and we really wanted to focus on the clay and decon process on the paint system of this vehicle as the primary focus of this live. So I'm going to state I would decon this. I would use the surface prep, cleanser, and then potentially apply ceramic 3-in-1. Now, the best use case for this, again, you get a chance to do it when you're swapping from winter tires to your spring-summer tires. Take the time to let that cure and then drive the car away after 12 to 24 hours. But just know that lifespan is just ultimately going to be limited to where those products are bonding to and the heat cycles and what they're exposed to.
I don't recall the user's name, but we did have a good comment earlier. I think it was Nate. Anyways, he mentioned that he cleaned a new pair of TRD Pro wheels and applied ceramic 3-in-1 to them before he had tires mounted and balanced on them, and all of his wheel weights have fallen off. That can happen. If you have protection on, it's going to weaken the bond of the adhesive. Good way to combat that: either do it after, or tell the guys that are balancing the wheels and tires to use some solvent in the area that they're going to put the weights on before they put those down. To help strip off that protection.
We had a good question too. It's very specific. Can foaming surface prep remove those rust spots and ferrous metal particles? It can definitely soften them. That they would definitely not, I'd say, like eject themselves with that. Iron and fallout definitely will dissolve those elements, but you're definitely going to get the above surface contaminant element of like a sheared metal particle, and we're talking like microscopic, but they rust and they create the streaks that people are claiming are indicative of the larger structure of, like, say, the Cybertruck rusting. However, foaming surface prep is definitely more for organic particles, and ultimately that above surface contaminant that gets sheared off or dissolved definitely can still be complemented by the decontamination of a mechanical decontamination step via clay bar or surface prep tools that will pull it out, shear it, and like actually extract it from the paint.
I don't think I've ever had a case where a chemical decon removed everything. There's some contaminants that it's simply not going to remove, more organic contaminants and things like that. And then that mechanical process is really going to get everything off. The purpose of the chemical decon is to help loosen it, help it begin to dissolve so that your mechanical process is easier and more effective.
Yeah, and ultimately, when we've talked about the difference between chemical and mechanical, and we're going to demonstrate it on this car, so we're gonna jump right into it. You guys are awesome, really appreciate it. We got to give something away. Stevie, has anybody struck you as worthy?
I haven't selected a winner yet, but we did have a question that was on topic about after cleaning your wheels, making it easier to clean. You may have already touched on this when you were talking about protection, but ceramic 3-in-1 is a great, easy option, or depending on the surface, you could use like ceramic metal polish, etc., to help make
or the
your
new
wheels clean
ceramic
easier.
liquid wax.
Yeah.
That's coming.
Yeah.
That's another good one.
Yeah, any of our base ceramic coatings, and to Stevie's point, even like a ceramic all-in-one and ceramic metal polish, if you've got a raw metal wheel, you definitely want to test it in inconspicuous spot to make sure it's not changing the look. But yeah, a true protection, even as mild as wash and coat and or ceramic speed shine, is better than nothing.
Yep.
But the most durable ones are going to be our ceramic liquid wax. Ceramic all-in-one on a dark finish like that might actually reduce some swirl marks or things that happen on a high gloss clear coated finish like that, or ceramic liquid wax. So those are the base protections that I'd put on if I had a perfectly clean, decontaminated wheel that I had the opportunity to do all of it.
Yep. Yep.
And high solids coatings are also great options. I just think that what I've seen personally, hey, they're great. Am I getting like years? Absolutely not. Am I getting maybe a couple months more? Sure. Is that better?
Yeah.
Marginal. Is it worth the difference between a $20 bottle of ceramic 3-in-1 wax and an $80 bottle of high solids?
Yeah.
I'll tell you no. No.
For sure. And moral of the story is just get protection on there. It's a great opportunity to do so. You're going to save yourself time and energy in the long run, making your wheels easier to clean, keeping them in better overall condition. Really quick, last wheel related thing, I think, before we move on. Nathan Sheba asked a good question that kind of helps sum a lot of this up in all of our different wheel cleaning options. I think he was also the one that mentioned the wheel weight comment. But he asked, what's the difference between performance of the regular wheel cleaner and heavy duty wheel cleaner? And then we'll add iron and fallout remover in there as well, besides the purple color change of the heavy duty and iron and fallout. So regular wheel cleaner is pH balanced. It's very mild, very safe. We really recommend that for wheels that aren't getting very dirty, or if you have a specifically delicate wheel surface, aftermarket painted surfaces like that, where if you have sometimes matte or satin wheels can react oddly to heavier wheel cleaners. And then you get into HD wheel, which is going to be better for your high dust scenarios, your BMWs, situations where the wheel's getting much dirtier, specifically with brake dust. You get that sodium thioglycolate active that will react, dissolve the iron. Iron and fallout remover is then a third tier that's going to be your heaviest duty option, most concentrated actives to help break down that brake dust and iron particles.
Yeah, I think you kind of like scale up based upon intensity of dirtiness. Yep. Like if you are going after a really dirty wheel with our base wheel cleaner, you might have to apply it again. Yeah. Because you just aren't able to get the reaction of something that's bonded or subsurface that you would with the sodium thioglycolate featuring HD wheel and iron fallout. So I also think the balance of delicate, right? If you're cleaning your wheels frequently and you don't have a high dusting brake pad setup, there's no reason to need HD wheel and iron and fallout. Use wheel cleaner consistently. It's extremely safe and pretty much has caused no damage to any rim ever since it was introduced in 1990.
Yeah, very safe.
That being said, I clean my wheels frequently, but I drive to the store and I see brake dust on a wheel I cleaned 5 minutes ago. I'm using HD wheel to make my cleaning process easier. That's the ultimate goal there. So,
and then you can't forget wheel tire mat cleaner, which is the newest of the four. That's a good kind of middle of the road. Very capable, more utility. Use it on your tires, your floor mats if you have all weather mats.
However, alkaline.
Yep.
So non-pH neutral.
Wheel strip protection.
And you must work a little faster, and in particular around delicate surfaces. Not a death sentence, but just a different care regimen.
Yep. Right? Great for factory wheels, situations like that.
Yeah.
I know you guys were trying to move away from wheel and tires, but Keegan Ewing asked, can I use heavy-duty wheel cleaner on my paint?
Sure.
Yeah.
not ideal. I mean,
It's not going to hurt anything.
it's going to be a little less active, so you might have to spray a little bit more than Iron and Fallout. And because
Yeah.
it's a thinner formula, it won't cling as well, so it won't really exaggerate or get the same effect as Iron and Fallout. That's just obvious in using it. It's the same reason why we wouldn't suggest spraying Iron and Fallout onto a wet car, right?
Yeah.
You're just putting a thinner viscosity formula onto the car. It's going to run off before it has a chance to react. Is it safe? Sure. Is it the most effective? Definitely not.
Yeah, easy. So let's move on to kind of suspension, wheel wells, undercarriage.
Huge opportunity.
Yeah, massive.
Big deal.
Yeah, so foaming surface prep, 10-to-1 is going to be one of your favorite products for this type of scenario. By the way, Seth asked what kind of jacks we're using. These are quick jacks, so it makes it really easy to get the
Costco
car
buy.
off the ground.
They're generally very discounted, ship for free. And for us, wheels off detail, excellent. So before you get, all chemical on me, I'm just gonna say, for the same reason our wheel and tires are, absolutely mauled during winter, the wheel wells and anything that is meant to keep things in the wheel well are going to be heavily, heavily soiled. Lots of organic buildup. The same type of materials you're going to find on your wheel surfaces are going to be over here. My biggest thing as a detailer when I was younger was if you can make this go away and not look like an eyesore, all your focus comes onto your wheel and tire package, and it absolutely changes the look of the car.
Yeah, totally.
So a brand new looking wheel and tire package that is clean can be immediately robbed of its glory by a dirty wheel well.
Yeah.
It's hard to get around these spaces, in particular as modern cars have bigger wheels and lower ride heights. Like you drive a crossover, I apologize, but you're not getting in there very effectively. So having the access, take it, clean this, do what you can while you have this time, and reset it, and then set it up for success as you move into a better weather season.
Well, if you do your own maintenance too, it's also a great way to do yourself a favor and keep things nice and clean and orderly in there for when you're
Check your
attacking
brake pads,
brake pads.
look for pebbles that are causing squeaks, whatever it may be. Just take a good look down there.
Yeah, and keeping things clean in there will help keep the techs honest if you do take your car in for maintenance as well. So, like I said, foaming surface prep, 10-to-1 is the dilution ratio we recommend. Another great product for this is our newer Citrus APC. You can dilute that up to 4-to-1. Specifically if you have, say you got a leaky CV joint during the winter time or something, you have some axle grease built up in there. Great way to help address those types of greasy residues. So I'm going to use it. We've got it diluted here in our foaming sprayer. So we're going to get after it with this.
While you're applying that, I'm going to answer a really quick question. Both Kevin Clancy, Alan Friedlander, and Chris Christensen asked, will we ever sell wheel, tire, and mat cleaner in gallons again? The answer is yes. Just to be completely forthright with everybody, there is an active ingredient in there that is very common amongst all wheel and tire cleaners, and we are within the bounds of that active ingredient from the most reputable one down to the least reputable one. Our product is very well rounded, but when sold in a gallon, that active ingredient kind of triggers some DOT regulations, which at this point we believe we've been misclassified, and that has made us, for the risk of not doing anything wrong, go back to DOT and our chemical regulators and say, hey, is this the right classification? So we've had a pause on that. Anything involving the government happens slowly. We're going to sell that product in gallon. We know how high consumption it is. That's going to be the case, but we're above water with everything that we do, and this is an opportunity, if you're asking about that, for us to tell you exactly what's going on. But we will be selling that product in gallons in 24, no questions asked. It's just a matter of, hey, is it happening slower in an election year, or is this just the speed of government? So we'll get there. We consume, how many gallons a week do you think we consume of that product? A lot, so.
Oh, wheel, tire, mat.
It's a little absurd. In particular in the winter
here.
when we're pulling out our floor mats and cleaning them up, man, we're using a lot of that product.
If you haven't tried that on your floor mats, by the way, it's a great
Yeah.
Great way to get it done.
Get on it.
So we got that, pretty well soaked in here. Depending on how heavily soiled you are, you can take a couple different approaches. You can do a pre-soak like this, do a rinse if it's really bad, do a pre-rinse, then resaturate it with cleaner, and then come in and agitate. For this situation, it's not too terrible. So just for time's sake, we're going to go ahead and agitate some surfaces, and then we'll do a quick rinse afterwards.
Yeah, there have been a couple questions too, like if you've got a lot of, we've got a lot of like pine needles and organic buildup, sure, pre-rinse. However, it's not so heavy that it's going to actually interfere with our ability to clean it. Likewise, these are plastic lined wheel wells. A lot of modern cars have switched to kind of this like hybrid fabric that, definitely has some noise deadening and I don't know what else environmentally it provides,
clean,
but it's a
that's for
huge pain in the butt to clean. We've got a lot of questions about how to clean that. One of our best tools for that is our, oh my gosh, you're going to have to correct me on the name. Jeff's going to kill me tomorrow. It is an air gun that creates a vortex that essentially is air pulse gun that drives those things like pine needles out of the fibers of those wheel well liners, which is a good first step before you apply the cleaner. The cleaner is not going to like dissolve pine needles, right? And you're going to be frustrated by the fact that, I just cleaned this. There's like 20 pine needles stuck in there. How the heck do I get that? Compressed air, air pulse gun, excellent way to address that. But yeah, this is definitely made easier by making it routine. If you wait too long or your car is older, you might be looking at things like grease and heavier materials that have built up, which will require more aggressive cleaners than what is really our most aggressive exterior cleaner in foaming surface prep at 10-to-1. And great, if you don't have to use those all the time, they're pretty noxious. Brake cleaner is fantastic. But if I'm doing this with my kids, I don't want to use brake cleaner, so I'm going to do it more frequently with less aggressive chemicals, preserve the finish of the things like my Bilstein shocks, and or not damage any of those plastic wheel well liners, dull them, scratch them with something as aggressive as brake clean.
Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, ideal case is going to pre-soak, pre-rinse, and then get after it, especially if you have fancy suspension or something that you are worried about marring or scratching up. For time's sake, and since this surface or these surfaces aren't too terrible, I'm going to do it that way. So we got most of the suspension. It's a great time to clean your brake calipers.
Yeah, Corey G asked a good question while you're still cleaning salmon. Don't go too crazy. Okay?
All right.
We're demonstrating. We got more topics to cover. It is a Bronco. It's not a show queen, but I do appreciate the effort. So I love you. So Corey G has asked us a couple times. I think Corey G's got to win something, just because it's a great opportunity to address this.
Yeah.
So Corey G asked, can you use iron and fallout on ceramic coated cars? Absolutely. In fact, in general, one of the biggest elements of high solid ceramic coatings that is actually shares some traits with our ceramic infused products is that they tout some chemical resistance. Now, iron and fallout remover, water spot remover, a lot of products are chemicals that are meant to serve a high solid ceramic coating that may still exhibit things like water spots, may still get iron embedded in it and clog it up and make it look different, may still get above surface contaminants. Can I clay the car without compromising my coating? Of course.
Yeah.
So a high quality ceramic coating and a high quality ceramic infused product should definitely not be diminished just by the chemical reaction of iron and fallout and a lot of chemicals. One of the popular things on YouTube is torture tests. The thing that makes the torture tests really aggressive is the abrasion, is the physical touch and rubbing. And we understand this because of our durability testing. We can do pH neutral stuff for days and days and days.
Yeah.
As soon as we introduce an aggressive abrasion tool, all of a sudden, you're scraping skin off.
Yep.
And the coating starts to go away. So a good high solid ceramic coating and a good ceramic infused product should be able to withstand iron and fallout. It doesn't mean that all this exposure and abrasion of road grime and stuff that gets kicked up hasn't abraded and or diminished your coating. But iron and fallout alone, if you went and parked a ceramic coated car right next to a train yard and then just coated or applied iron and fallout and rinse it off, that's not compromising your coating. Normal wear and tear, and then you introduce an iron fallout and blame that, that's not the case.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like you said, great way to refresh some of the properties from that setup. A few of you guys have asked about like caked on mud and stuff like that. And something else worth mentioning for the wheel wells and these types of intricate areas, using a pressure washer, especially this time of year as it's warming back up, you can get that back out, is really gonna make your life a ton easier. Because of that pressure, you're gonna get into those nooks and crannies better. Pressure washers are really the best way to remove heavy mud buildup from whatever surface you're talking about, because they don't require you to physically agitate, with a mitt or brush or sponge. Like a lower pressure hose, you're gonna have to agitate first. So it's really gonna make your life easier, make the process safer, save you time, and yeah, essential tool for doing the deep dives.
Yeah, so I think that you're perfectly correct. And like a lot of people that are still hesitant about pressure washer, we've got hours and hours of footage about pressure washer safety and the correct PSI to approach it, the correct angle. Modern cars definitely are safer for pressure washer approaches, but really, if you're targeting a paint chip with a pressure washer, you're going to mess it up with the lowest PSI pressure washer on planet Earth. You're probably going to mess it up with your hose too. So
yeah, for sure.
It definitely is the easiest way. I'm going to show an iron and fallout after this, but if we can observe just how disgusting what fell off my undercarriage was in a pretty light duty car with only 8,000 miles on it.
Relatively clean, and I mean, you have 2 winter seasons on it now?
Yeah, and I rinse these things off and do FSP every time. We did have a question. We were using foaming surface prep 10-to-1 in both the cordless foamer and in trigger delivery. So foaming surface prep 10-to-1 is what we used.
If you don't want to buy the foamer, we have our secondary bottle that you can buy for it, dilution bottle, set it up in there and just spray it on. Great utility in foaming surface prep, especially at either dilution, whether you're using it in a cannon or at that 10-to-1 in a spray bottle, tons of utility to it. So we're going to use it on the next step as well once we get into the paint. As you guys have probably picked up by now, we're focusing a lot more on the deep cleaning aspect of end of winter leading into spring type detail, because a lot of this is the more intensive process. We spent a ton of time talking about paint correction and protection application, which we will cover briefly, but a lot of this is going to cover the deep cleaning, the decontamination, and all of those preparatory processes leading up to paint correction and application and protection.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
It's always satisfying seeing all that runoff.
Yeah.
Getting the wheel wells clean, and just like we've been talking about, preventing all that stuff from taking hold and being much more difficult to clean off if you leave it alone.
Yeah, I think every used car that we buy, one of the biggest disappointments is the wheel system.
Yeah.
Beautiful original car. Like, this guy never cleaned the barrels of the car or the wheels, and he's got embedded tar, embedded brake dust. It's not coming out. It's scarring. So
hard.
This kind of stuff, it does pay dividends over time. Is it critical? No, washing your car is not critical. But you care about your car. That's why you're watching us. So we're telling you how to do it better.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's satisfying.
All right, so we're going to get to the paint system. And I think that one of the other things, you want to give me iron and fallout?
Yeah.
I did talk about kind of the hub and rotor connection between both the wheel and the rotor itself. Light corrosion, again, 2-year-old car. I could fight this with a scrub brush. I'm going to understand exactly what I'm fighting. And as you can see on the brake rotor itself, immediate reaction, lots of dust there. But I'm focused on the hub connection because I'm going to take that wheel on and off.
Yep.
Especially if Sam and I actually go wheeling in this thing and blow a tire and we got to switch it out. We're going to want that to come off easily and go back on easily.
Yeah, just makes it easy.
So we're going to talk about the paint, right? And so the Boss foaming system, which is what we are giving away, ultimately in the pantheon of safe washing methods, we've got quick detailer, very light, dust, pollen. Waterless wash, kind of in between that and rinseless. Rinseless has a broad range and is favored by many professional detailers. In fact, they generally don't care how dirty the car is if they're going to polish it anyway. They'll just use rinseless because it's situationally dependent. Traditional hose and bucket, pre-rinse, high lubricity soap, gentle agitation, however mechanical abrasion. Foaming really is the pinnacle of safe washing because you're asking chemicals to soften what is on the paint. Is it the cheapest? No, not at all.
No.
Is it potentially going to show you the difference after one time? No. Is it going to show you a difference after 10? Oh my gosh, yes. If you have a well-maintained car, is foaming the fastest way to do it? If your setup is correct, which requires investment. So definitely part of this. But when I'm looking at this car that's very dirty, if I'm like attacking this with a gentler method, I'm going to do more harm than good. So I want to do a more thorough process, and we're going to show you a thorough process.
Yep.
And we're going to choose foaming and then some pre-soak as a way to not only address some of the organic buildup, but just acknowledging where this car has been. It's been on mountain passes. It's got salt on it. It definitely was well protected going into winter, and you're going to see that come back really quick as this car cleans up. But I want to approach this as gently as possible, because if I'm coming into spring, I want this thing to look as good as possible. I want to set myself up for success and make as little work as possible on top of that cleanup. So I want to get to a neutral state and say, oh man, I did such a good job, I don't have to polish. Thank God I didn't go to a tunnel wash. I just skipped 4 weeks of washing and I look like a genius. Yes, you probably do. In particular, if you spend the time on this thorough deep clean. So let's jump into what we're gonna do. Our Boss foaming system features 3 liquids: foaming surface prep, foaming surface wash, and foaming polygloss. Foaming surface prep is our alkaline or strip wash cleaner, and we generally don't recommend using that all the time. It can diminish surface protection. However, in a situation like this with a very dirty car and approaching a new season where I should naturally want to understand if I should reapply protection, I'm going aggressive.
Yeah,
chemically.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, we're going to be following up with protection. And, you know, like you were just mentioning, Nick, the vehicle's probably been a little bit neglected. It's dirtier than it normally would be. So making your life easier and safer is going to help not only the vehicle out, but help you out, take less time, and get a more thorough job done. So foaming surface prep 10-to-1 again. We're just going to pre-soak all of the rocker panels here. I can
Just to be clear too, Sam, 10-to-1, this is a secondary dilution bottle.
grab.
That is a higher concentration than what comes out after going through a pressure washer.
Yeah.
So, and
much,
foam can.
Much higher.
So we're kind of amping up the pre-soaking with an even more aggressive blend. Now, would you do that every time? No, but you might do your leading edges on your cars with that because they may be the dirtiest. And it's a way to just make sure that when you actually do touch the car, there's less there. But this is a drastic step. This is a reset, right? So we're going aggressive because I don't care if I strip all the winter wax off. I'm setting it up for spring. I want that spring wax to carry me through the good season. And I'm trying to get to the true nature of what's on the paint so I can establish my next steps, set myself up for easy maintenance when the weather's good. I'm washing the car every week. How fast can I do it? You know, how many honeydews can I avoid by going out in the garage and washing the car? Sun's out. Got to go wash the car.
Yes. Just get the wife's car done while you're in there.
Alex Burkhardt asked, when is your stubby pressure washer wand coming out? Soon.
Yeah, it will be out in the spring.
Yeah, our spring season is our goal, so that's not too far ahead of us. Man, I am pumped for that thing.
Yeah, along with the nozzles, which we're using the 15-degree nozzle today. Those will both be out real close to each other, coming soon.
Yeah, and Samuel Donko asked, can I use the iron and fallout out of the Boss foam cannon with a direct connection to the bottle? Yes. Once again, the direct trigger spray is going to be full dilution. When you're hooking it up to the foam cannon, you're pushing water through it, so you are diluting it. However, a big surface, you're definitely getting ease of application as opposed to 100 trigger pulls.
Yeah.
You're spreading that out. So is it more dilute? Yes. Is that concentrated and have enough active ingredient that that dilution kind of meets you in the middle? 100% for a big vehicle. You know, if we're doing a little Peugeot or Volkswagen Bug, I'm not wasting the time with a foam cannon and iron fallout. I'm doing the trigger pulls and maximizing the effect of the chemical. But absolutely, you can do it through the foam cannon.
Yeah, for sure. We had, let's see, where is it? Mark Blakely asked, does the Boss foaming system work with a regular hose or do you need a pressure washer? Best way is definitely to use a pressure washer. You'll get more benefit out of it with the richer, cleaner foam that you're gonna get using a foam cannon on a pressure washer. But you can use it in our foaming sprayer on a standard garden hose and still get a lot of the benefits. You're just gonna get a more watery foam. It's not gonna be as rich and clingy, so you don't get, you know, the benefits that rich and clingy
You know
foam
what?
lead to.
Mark has asked some great questions tonight. I think Mark,
has.
that's at least the second one that we've acknowledged and spent some time on. Mark, you're gonna win the Boss Foaming Complete System, and hopefully we inspire you to go buy a pressure washer, because we're gonna give you a bunch of foaming stuff.
And it comes with a cannon. So
Yeah. So
you're halfway there.
Thank you for your participation. I don't know if I've ever seen that name before, so hopefully it's your first time, and congrats, dude. You just won something from Griot's Garage, and we're going to use it all right now and show you how sweet it is.
Yeah, we do sell a couple awesome pressure washers made by AR as well. They're great options for use with that. But the Boss Foam Cannon is going to be compatible with a lot of the options out there on the market.
Hey, so a couple things too. We've had some questions about product launches, and I'm going to do something dumb and I'm going to get in trouble, but I'm going to do something right here. So
You're the
I'm
CEO.
going
Do
to
whatever you
answer some
want.
questions, and then I'm going to give something away ahead of this. But so we've been consistently launching the products that we debuted at SEMA, and definitely emailing you about when they come live. So if you aren't signed up for our emails, that's definitely the first step.
Yep.
Spring's coming around. You better believe there's going to be some good sales activity. We did tell you about the current sale that we're activating for you guys that are watching. Free 22 ounce of HD wheel cleaner with any $30 purchase using the code SMMAP. Ceramic liquid wax, which is just awesome. I mean, I'm like super excited for this product.
Yeah.
We put it on my R32. It's absolutely fantastic. And we've done some pretty damn good ceramic products in our time. This will be launched on March 4th. However, I'm going to give 5 away right now. And I'm just going to give it to the first 5 people that guess what my first name is. If you know me.
There you go.
Yeah, so just the
good
first
one.
5 comments that know what my first name is. If you've been following Griot's Garage that closely and you want your hands on this, we're going to give 5 away right now.
Nick's playing favorites.
So yeah, I am playing favorites. God dang, excuse me. Gosh dang it, I can. I keep the lights on in this place sometimes with help from you guys. But you guys help keep the lights on too, so I'm gonna give you some prizes for that.
And be one of the first to get your hands on.
Yeah, you're gonna get it a
ceramic
couple
liquid
weeks
wax.
before everybody else does.
I think we actually have probably 5 extra bottles in our office from employee samples.
We're doing it. So we got 5 to give away right away, and then we'll. I mean, we should turn it on its head and say, we'll guess your middle name or something too. If you can guess Sam's middle name, I'll give you the first initial, P.
I don't
You
think
guess
we've ever
Sam's
said
middle
that
name
one.
and you're not in the first 5 that guess my first name, we're gonna give 5 away too.
I'm gonna get all kinds of people looking me up now.
All right, yeah, don't stalk Sam on the internet, okay?
My middle name's not on my Instagram. Or
Not that
anything.
he's made himself very private, but
True.
okay, so we pre-soaked with 10 to 1. We're gonna give some stuff away while we get to work.
All right, so 10 to 1's been soaking. We're gonna go ahead and spray foaming surface prep through the foam cannon right on top of that. So the reason for that 10 to 1 pre-soak is to loosen up the most soiled surfaces on the vehicle, which are almost always gonna be that belt line down rocker area. You know, you can spray it in the wheel wells like we did back there and whatnot. But we'll go ahead and spray or foaming surface prep on right on top. Widen that up.
So this accomplishes a couple things, right? We've already talked about the alkalinity being something you don't want to elect to do every time you wash your car outside of maybe your heaviest soiled, leading edges. Because alkalinity and then combined with abrasion will diminish surface protection over time. At the end of the winter, we're not really concerned about preserving our last coat of wax. We're thinking about the next one. So that's the choice we're making here. But we did talk about, in particular with our wheel process, chemical versus mechanical decontamination, right? So we sequence chemical ahead of mechanical because if we can do it with a chemical without abrading, then, oh man, we got a lot of names coming in.
I don't think anybody's guessed my middle name right.
Has anybody guessed my name, or was that easy?
Are we going legal first name or like what you go by?
No, my legal first name.
Okay, we have one, but she works for us.
Oh,
What?
legal for,
Who?
okay.
Lori.
No employees can guess that. Come on. Not HR. HR has all
I
my,
wasn't
all
even
my
thinking
details.
about that factor.
They have my folder that's
It's a
getting
trick
bigger
question,
and bigger.
you guys. It's a trick question.
Okay, we got a couple. coming in. So we always talk about chemical and mechanical. We want to do chemical first because if the chemical can do work for us, it will make our job easier, and it generally avoids abrading or touching or pushing things into the surface.
Yeah.
So we want to soften them up, and so I would consider the iron and fallout remover a chemical decontamination step, and then foaming surface prep definitely is part of that.
Yep.
So it's not the complete decontamination, but it definitely excels in organic above surface contaminants and removing them or softening any organic contaminants that are embedded in the surface. So we're in chemical decon, and we're going to wash the car. We're stripping it.
Yep. You're getting some funny middle name guesses in there.
Peter, Piper, Patrick, Polly, Pedro.
Lots of Peter and Paul.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen one correct guess.
I've seen two for Sam's.
Yeah.
Tim Callahan and Chris Christensen.
It's not Paxton. I was born in the early 90s, guys.
Hey, Mr. Tom Collins asked, he saw the car wash pods. When are the microfiber wash pods coming out? Hey, look, we're starting a revolution here, okay? Just don't eat them, and then we'll expand the portfolio. But we're learning. And we thought it was pretty cool. If you look at the competitive concepts that were launched, there are these powders. I wouldn't want to mess with that. We took our chemistry, we worked to a liquid pod, and we make a lot of liquids. We got a lot of opportunity. You guys got to tell us that you like them or you don't, and then we'll dive in and do more.
Yep. I don't think we have 5
We definitely
each
don't have
yet.
5 that
No.
have guessed my first name yet.
Each yet. Should we make them spell my middle name right, too?
No, come on. Look at this. Okay, we got it. We got 5.
Yeah.
All right, guys, great. This is fun. Look, you rewrite the rules, everybody enjoys themselves.
Yeah.
Even if you
Should we
kinda
tell them
stumble
now?
and your brain freezes halfway through.
Do we have 5 of each, Stevie?
We have 5 of Richard.
Okay. Yes, Richard, named after my dad and my granddaddy. So
Yeah. Richard Nicholas
RG3.
III, right?
football career not to be compared to my career at Grio's Garage. All right.
That's too funny.
So the same thing applies, right? We are allowing this chemical to dwell, ideal conditions, not hot surfaces, not that we're worried about heat in the wintertime, but 5 to 10 minutes of dwell is going to be ideal.
Yeah.
Direct sunlight's going to shorten your time period, minimize the chemical effectiveness, drive you to having to do the mechanical steps a little faster. But that alkalinity definitely is not something you want to allow to dry on the paint. We're climate controlled in here. We got a lot of stuff for that to work against, and we're definitely seeing, we've got the murder scene here. I'm seeing a lot of dirt and some of those pine needles and organic elements that are running off the paint.
Yep. Yeah, and you can see how wet it still is. So that's one of the great things about having that heavy foam is you're going to keep more material on the car for longer so that it can work for you, help loosen up all that organic contaminant, carry the grit to the ground. Really one of the biggest benefits of using a foam cannon or foam setup, and better than what you're going to get from a foaming sprayer.
Samuel Patricia. Sam
I
Pat.
mean, I get Samantha a lot.
Ah.
Never had Patricia. I think we've got to have 5 in there.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Yeah, so my middle name is Philip with 1 L, but we won't.
That's
hold
the
it to
royal spelling,
Yeah.
unlike my brother Philip with 2 L's.
Yeah.
Non-royal. Yeah. All right, guys, you're getting to know us a little bit better. And at the same time, we're giving you free stuff, which we're stoked about. The ceramic liquid wax, I mean, we're going to run out of time.
Yeah,
There's
for
no
sure.
doubt.
Yeah.
We always are
we got
very
like 20,
ambitious
30
with these
minutes left.
educational, sessions. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you're learning something. I love doing this. It's
Yeah,
always a bunch of prep,
fun.
getting ready for it. But we definitely want to ensure that you guys have the most fun in your garage as you do get the chance to go do it.
Yeah. I think we might have to give Jay Maynard one too for being the most creative with the middle name Pterodactyl.
Let's give him a
kids will get
t-shirt.
kick
Let's
out
give him
of
a
that
t-shirt.
one, yeah.
Jay Maynard gets a shirt.
Yeah. My sons are both huge dinosaur fans. They would probably love if my middle name was Pterodactyl.
Okay, how close are we to rinsing? Because we got a couple.
I
great
think we can
questions.
hit it. Yeah,
Okay.
For
All right,
time's sake,
hey,
we
Mark-
could get. Sorry.
You'll go.
I'm talking over you. We could get more dwell out of this if we wanted to, but we will go ahead and rinse now. It's at least been 5 minutes. So a lot of you are going to look at me weird when I do this, but unless you've seen us do it before. But I'm going to rinse from the bottom up. The reason for that is so that the foam at the top surfaces gets the longest amount of time to dwell and continues working. If I start rinsing from the top down for this initial pre-rinse, we're going to just rinse all the foam off, on the first hit across the top. So we're going to start and go bottom up. This is the 15-degree Boss pressure washer nozzle. So it's going to help just tear through all that heavier grit and get more off of the paint quicker.
You're about 18 to 24 inches off the paint.
Yep.
But you're taking a more aggressive spray pattern on that rinse post-chemical work so that you do rid the surface of any contaminants before you touch and abrade it. You definitely aren't going to use as aggressive of a spray nozzle for any subsequent rinsing, but your first rinse is definitely going to be more aggressive. And then as Sam mentioned, bottom up, let the foam do as much work as possible as you work your way from what should be the dirtiest part of the vehicle on the bottom to the top.
Take longer doing bottom up, but it's just going to ensure that we get the best utility from our foaming surface prep and get that surface as clean as possible.
Now we got a couple questions from Leah Vitek. How long can you let the foam sit? We recommend between 5 to 10 minutes for foaming surface prep. It's going to be driven by your environment. If it's hot, if there's direct sunlight, you're going to have to shorten that. And that just limits the overall potential of the chemical doing its work. It doesn't mean it's useless, for sure. You're just kind of trading work. Thank you, bud. Opening the gas door. Come on.
Can't forget
You
your
see
gas
this,
door.
guys? We got detail-oriented people working. So 5 to 10 minutes, and generally, with all the liquids in the Boss foaming system, we have recommended dwell times. So foaming surface wash would be about the same time. 5 to 10 minutes could be your potential. Are you gonna totally hamstring the product after 3 minutes? No. You're still following the correct process and adding more liquid to the surface to soften up the contaminants. Are you gonna get the maximum benefit? No. But you're not always washing in ideal conditions. And then Piero Ciancio, hopefully I said that right. What is a good wash for a ceramic coated vehicle? Categorically, a good wash for a ceramic coated vehicle is going to be a pH neutral shampoo that is high in lubrication, that won't necessarily have anything to diminish that ceramic coating. Now, the balance that we've struck for ever since we've launched our ceramic washing coat is, in this industry, we have had a lot of ceramic washes that charge a higher price and simply are pH neutral soaps that claim that they're safe for ceramic coatings. Any pH neutral soap is going to be safe for ceramic coating. You shouldn't pay $5 more per 48 ounces just because it says ceramic and it does nothing different than a pH neutral soap. With our ceramic wash and coat, one of the things that we did do was work very hard to impart some protective element, which in general, washing your car and the abrasion, not the soap itself, is going to be what diminishes the ceramic coating. So a pH neutral soap, if foamed on and rinsed off, technically outside of the abrasion that happens from normal wear and tear and driving down the freeway and bits of sand kind of running down and abrading your paint surface, a touchless wash with a pH neutral soap should preserve your coating 100%.
Yep.
That's never going to be the case. However, you're going to accelerate its or diminish it more when you abrade and touch it. Now, don't be afraid of that. This is why things like ceramic boosters or this truly protective ceramic wash and coat exist to top or replenish the diminished protection that you have created by abrading that surface. So, what do you use to wash a ceramic coated vehicle? Any pH neutral soap. Is it better? Are there better processes within that? Yeah, touchless. Are you going to diminish it with the soap itself? Only if it's alkaline. Are you going to get a benefit from a ceramic soap that's pH neutral and offers no protection? No, and don't overpay for it.
Yeah.
So just keep your head up that way.
Yeah, that's one of the big benefits of ceramic protection is you're going to be able to wash your vehicle touchless if you don't allow it to get extremely dirty. And even if it does get dirty and you do have to touch it, you're not going to have to agitate as much or with as much pressure to get the surface clean because of that more repellent hydrophobic surface there. So Alan asked 1900 PSI at the nozzle. I think I saw you guys comment we're using our 1900 PSI Pro electric pressure washer. I think it's about 1400 at the nozzle. Most pressure washers, they're a lot like shop vacs. They market a higher PSI, the actual output, with a continuous spray is going to be lower typically.
Sam, are you telling me that my 300 crank horsepower Bronco doesn't put 300 to the wheels? Because I've never been misled that way before in my life.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Not the only things that are marketed that way.
We had some questions about what's the minimum PSI to create foam. I think, again, a lot of that is driven by the flexibility that we have in our cannons. We have two jets, a 1.1 jet and 1.25 jet. Yeah. And depending on the PSI output of your pressure washer, you can generate better foam by matching it with the correct jet. So if you have a lower PSI pressure washer, I think my lower bound of recommendation if you want a foaming experience is about 1200 PSI paired with that 1.1 jet. You should get some good foam if it is also paired with a GPM or gallon per minute water output. So if you've got a sub 1 gallon per minute, 1200 PSI electric pressure washer that costs you $80, you're probably not getting Instagram worthy foam.
Yeah, you'll get foam for sure, but it's not going to be what you saw here. You'll see in our manuals and on our website, we talk about it in cleaning units, which is PSI times GPM or multiplied by GPM. That number is more important than the PSI or GPM alone. And really our Pro 1900 electric pressure washer is right at the optimal state, in my opinion, which you'll see a lot of people kind of share this opinion out there. The AR630, this one's the AR613, two of the most popular out there. The
15 amps as well, so they can plug right in without having to have like a 20 amp high,
Yeah, the 1900 to 2000 PSI and 1.9 to 2.2 GPM is going to be a really nice sweet spot for getting great foam, having a really effective rinse with that higher GPM, great cleaning utility. You're still saving tons of water, so great way to do it.
Really quick. Enthusiast asked, will you guys come out with a touchless wash system? Yeah, we did in 2017, 2018. It's the Boss system. It's all going to be dependent upon how frequently you wash your car, how well protected your car is.
Yeah.
This Bronco is generally pretty damn well taken care of. I volunteer it for testing all the time. What do you know?
Well, and even with how much road film you had on the lower third, with that 10-to-1 soak, that pre-soak, and then hitting it with foam and surface prep, you can see how the water is breaking off the surface. There's very little left down there. I mean, I could take one of these applicators and swipe right behind the wheel well, and you're getting a little dirt, but there's not much. So if it had only been a couple of weeks, especially in the drier months, you're probably going to be able to do it touchless.
I have touchless washed this car multiple times. So it's just a matter of frequency, and that foaming and high pressure rinse it definitely plays to it. If you can avoid touching your car, it's fantastic because, again, we told you all the damage is wash induced. It's the touching. It's the actually taking the wash mitt across the surface and abrading, and then your dry towel. So anything you can do to make it gentler on the approach, add a drying aid and make it gentler on the dry, hey, you're minimizing wash-induced scratches, but if you can do it touchless, fantastic.
Yep. We
also had a question about, we were kind of demonizing wash tunnels. There's a difference between the ones with the, like mop heads of death.
A brushed wash tunnel and a touchless wash tunnel.
So the touchless ones are going to use a lot of the same technology that we're talking about right now. They're just going to be higher alkaline soaps that are applied.
In some cases.
Yeah, or acidic, and they dwell on the vehicle and then high pressure rinse. What you're going to see is if your car is super dirty, you go through a touchless system, it's going to look better. But you'll probably leave that with some road film, so it won't get everything off that the actual mechanical abrasion will, but it didn't scratch, right?
Yeah.
Like almost certainly did not create the same level of damage that a brushes of death tunnel wash will.
Yep.
The brushes of death will get a cleaner car, but it will definitely leave permanent paint degradation and swirl marks as a result. So the trade-off of touchless tunnel versus brush tunnel, do the touchless tunnel every time, but just know your wax isn't going to last as long,
100%.
most likely.
I was going to say, before I put ceramic protection on my truck, I took it through a new touchless wash near my house a couple of times when I first got it. I would just take a handful of microfibers and ceramic speed shine with me to touch up any spots that wash didn't get afterwards and kind of reinvigorate protection.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, let's keep going because we got a couple other things we want to do. I definitely want to get to the glass because that's an important one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So right now, have we rinsed this completely?
So I rinsed it. We did the pre-soak and the initial rinse before mitting it. You don't have to get all the soap off with that process because you're going to refoam it and then mitt over it. So you see some soap left on the top. We'll refoam it real quick. We'll team up and mitt it real fast. Rinse one more time from the top down that time.
Assess the surface.
Yeah, and then assess the surface and do some decon. So.
Tim McLaughlin asks, can you let it dry in direct sun? It's never a good idea to let anything dry in the sun. In particular, an alkaline soap like foaming surface prep, no. Foaming surface wash, could you let it dry in the sun and not have any potential damage behind? Yeah, you'd just have a soap film and it'd be annoying. If you're really in such a high heat scenario that you're worried about it drying on the sun, shorten your dwell time and potentially try and position your car so there's at least one shaded side and do like one side at a time. We've talked about this. We did a direct sunlight washing process last summer. So I would suggest in general, if you're spraying soap on your car, you shouldn't goal to let it dry.
No.
You should definitely chase it and rinse it off before then, but...
Well, and even with deionized water, if you're using a deionizer, you can walk away, let the rinse water dry. Personally, I would still dry it in most scenarios, especially if it's sunny out, because there might still be a little bit of TDS in that water that could leave a spot.
Yeah, Randy Water says, I still get a little dirt haze after a wash with no scrubbing. It's just going to be dependent upon frequency.
Yep.
Like, if I drive my commute, which is all surface roads, in the wintertime, versus I drive 40 miles on I-5, the interstate, I've got a completely different level of road grime I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And a completely different level of soiling, even though only a week has passed. So it's just going to be circumstantial. The goal is always to minimize touching, let the chemical do the work for you. Is it possible every time? Probably not. Can you get some of them? Yeah, in particular if you're a stud with your maintenance and have the right kit.
Yeah, Samuel Donko, he's asked a lot of good questions too, not just biased because of his name, but Does foaming surface prep work on hard caked on dirt from off-roading on a razor or a side-by-side? Absolutely. And we actually did a live on, I had one of our coworkers side-by-sides in here and showed a lot of tips and tricks for that process there too.
Yeah, water's gonna soften it up, but you definitely can get some chemical action with foaming surface prep.
All right.
And APC, our all-purpose cleaner, is great for that as well. We did have questions about the convertible top. I pretty much treat this one, since it's so new, pretty much the same as I would with a paint system. I'm not gonna let anything dry in it. But like the alkaline soap versus the pH neutral soap, I'm not overly concerned.
Yeah.
And then I will agitate with a wash mitt. I generally do it last versus a painted roof that I would do, first or second, top down. Hood and roof kind of generally are, where I'd start a general wash. But I do it last and just thorough rinse. And then there are plenty of protection options for it. But from the factory, it does have some pretty good UV protection as well.
Yeah.
Water resistance.
Obviously, having somebody to do it with helps speed up the process too.
Tony DiBartolo asked a good question. Would you use the fine surface prep mitt to agitate? I think that's a good time to mention that you want to make sure that you remove any above surface dirt from the surface before you use the prep mitts.
Yeah.
So in that case, no, you want to remove all of that dirt and then use that to get the embedded contaminants.
Yeah, that's a really good question because there's a wrinkle there.
Yep.
Like before we dry this car, we can definitely refoam it if we know that we've done the washing step and used the surface prep mitt. But just to not confuse anybody, we aren't going to do that as our first touch point, right?
No.
We're going to use a soft, gentle wash tool, get rid of all the above surface contaminants, and then we're talking about decon as soon as we're done rinsing this.
Yeah. Even though we got a lot of the grit off with that pre-rinse, you want everything off, like Stevie mentioned, before you take that to it. Otherwise, you're going to scratch the heck out of your paint.
Yeah.
So, all right, another quick rinse. We'll just top down this time since we already got all the surface clean. Gonna have some work to do to get the other side done.
I know, we're only washing one side of the car today, so
All the soap's gonna be over there.
it'll be Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. All right, so I would say at this point, based upon my trust for you and your ability to wash a car and my trust for myself, regardless of what people on the internet say about our technique, you're doing it wrong. Car looks clean.
None of you guys.
One of the first things that I see, and I know you're looking at the same thing as an objective person who lives in this world every day, as soon as we're rinsing the soap off, we're looking at water behavior.
Yeah, it's flat.
Right? So water behavior is an example of what protection is left on the paint. And actually, there's a huge difference between the fender and the door. And in particular, there's almost always going to be a belt line and below difference than your shoulder and above. And vertical glass on the side and how that's responding with the water just streaking off it extremely quickly versus water hanging. So I'm saying, hey, we're pretty close to what I would say is a reset. And I've got a little bit of water breaking, so hey, that lasted through the winter with my bad habits. And obviously, we put a light on this thing. I'm gonna tell you, there's not a lot of swirl marks, and there's definitely no tunnel of death marks.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm getting notorious at the gym for like volunteering this wash bay to avoid people going there.
Yeah.
So it's my community service to everybody. All right. But we had that ask about the surface prep mitt and could we do FSP on it. In fact, that's generally how we cut and neutralize surfaces in our durability testing.
Yep.
If I'm looking at this and saying, oh, my fender looks like it has protection, my door doesn't, you know, how do I reset? How do I get neutral? Well, we can show you some quick steps to it, but definitely that foaming surface prep and a surface prep mitt's going to do it. It's going to be aggressive, but it'll get rid of that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and as long as you don't like leave it sitting in foaming surface prep, you shouldn't have issues with that softening the polymeric substance on the surface. We've done that lots and haven't seen any problems.
I'm going to dry it so we can talk more about it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll help you out there real quick.
So we've washed it, we've done a chemical decon, and we're going to assume, and we will validate via touch once it is dry, that we're going to have to do a mechanical decon for a full reset.
I got a funny question in there.
Oh, what?
A rooftop Korean, I think one of our returning favorites.
Past winter.
Yeah, he said, what's worse, wash your car with the self-service bay wash brush or have a high school sports team wash it?
Ooh.
I'll do you one better, an elementary school sports team. I helped at my son's football team fundraiser car wash last summer, and I had to like put a blindfold on the whole time. So it was brutal.
I can tell you, we leveraged Griot's Garage to support a sorority and fraternity fundraiser that was car wash based.
Yeah.
It was awful, man.
Yeah.
I was a wreck. It was like the least fun day I've ever had being a member of a fraternity.
I donated a bunch of car wash and dry towels and stuff to the football team wash too, and part of me wanted to like cover up our labels halfway through.
Yeah, or the other side is like, ultimately you see these kids just like floundering and you're like, okay, I'm gonna wash 50 cars.
Yeah, exactly. That was most
that
of it.
$5 is going to a good cause. I'm capable. I'm tagging in.
Yeah.
Get out of here, kids. It's like Billy Madison playing dodgeball with kindergartners, essentially.
I was just running around mad dumping buckets and switching out wash mitts.
Yeah. Okay, so we are at the point where we're substantially dry. Like even just looking at this, I've got little kind of bonded parts that look like they're sap or some like tar
like
light.
Tree poop or
that could definitely be removed with a little fingernail.
Yeah.
Fingernails are, not hard enough to scratch paint, so you might be able to, kind of minimize some of that.
In most cases.
Yeah, this is, maybe not ISO Revolta paint, but
careful.
Probably the, baby's butt skin softness of paint on that car. But now we're going to do mechanical decon. So mechanical decon, or typically categorically called clay. Is that fair, Sam?
Yeah.
We're going to clay the car.
Yeah. That's the traditional term most people are familiar with. This would be the step where you could do chemical decon. I think we briefly talked about it. You could have applied that before drying. However, it's going to slightly dilute the iron and fallout remover. But if you're going to do chemical decon, this would be the best place to do it. You've already removed all of the residual dirt on the surface. Hit it with the chemical.
We're talking about iron and fallout.
Yes,
specifically.
iron and fallout remover. Yeah. In this case, this vehicle, we don't have rail dust issues or anything like that around here. I don't think it has a terrible level of ferrous metal particles based on how the paint feels. It's not super heavily contaminated.
It's got a little drag, but it's definitely not awful. And granted, again, I'd hope that, so you're essentially endorsing that I care well for my car?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah. I've seen you do it.
That's important to me. It's important to you guys, hopefully. You should understand this. We're humans, but...
if anybody here is going to get a hard time for not taking care of their vehicles,
I'm not perfect, man. Nobody's
well,
perfect. We just when we do it, we want to do it well. We want to do it effectively. We want to do it safely.
You have 3 kids. I can relate to that.
I'm not scared of any of this, but I can tell you for sure that a still wet vehicle after you've rinsed off this, yes, sure, iron and fallout, that's the chemical decon. That's what we're using on the Tesla Cybertruck that's rusting, right? We're going to dissolve those ferrous particles that are more commonly in our wheel system on our paint system. What does that do? Well, again, less physical mechanical decontamination, which is important if you've got a clay bar, a yellow clay bar that absorbs contaminants, so that you absorb less of them in the clay bar, extend the life of your clay bar. Other than that, we can go to mechanical decontamination with a product like the Surface Prep tool and get pretty much those ferrous particles pulled out.
Yeah.
So it's, where do you live? Do you live in, the Port of Tacoma, where there's a lot of rail traffic, or do you live in, a cleaner area and know that it's not there? But white cars, you'll see it pretty easily. Darker colored vehicles like this, you may say, oh, that utility doesn't seem great. But for a professional who's tracking costs relative to this clay bar is supposed to last me 10 times, an iron and fallout remover is going to make it last 12. That's important.
Another benefit of iron and fallout is it will get into the nooks and crannies that your mechanical step cannot, around door handles, door trim,
Emblems.
window trim, emblems, that type of stuff. So if I always judge it based on feel. Assess the surface. If it feels moderate to heavily contaminated, you're probably going to benefit from that chemical step first. If it's light, maybe light to moderate, you could probably get away with just mechanical and not notice a huge difference.
Okay, Sam Donko is winning, and yes, he is Samuel.
Yep.
But he's hitting it out of the park
Yeah,
tonight.
he's asked
So
some
Samuel
great
Donko,
questions.
you're going to get a Boss Foaming Complete Kit and ceramic liquid wax. What's the difference between the clay for paint and glass? Can I use one for both? We're going to talk about something you can use for both, which is these Surface Prep tools. The main difference between the pliable clays, which are traditionally understood to be, these are not, just keep in mind, all these clays are synthetic. They are man-made.
Yeah.
It's not clay that you find in the ground somewhere in Ohio, all right? It's not like we're balling it up and, we're going to use it to clean a car and eat cereal out of it tomorrow. No, we're not doing that. So the biggest difference between the one that is designed for paint and glass is going to be the hardness. And
Density,
tackiness is essentially like another tangible feature. But this is going to be more pliable. It definitely is meant for more concave surfaces, whereas the less pliable one in glass is meant for flatter surfaces that are like glass. And also like the difference in terms of the tackiness, you're really trying to pull and extract, like waxing your back with hair out of the pores of the paint. So it generally tends to be the tackier of the two.
Yeah.
It's the biggest difference. But a tool like our Surface Prep mitt, it actually shears and pulls. It doesn't absorb.
Yeah, it breaks it off. the paint.
So you can use it on both glass and paint. And in fact, one of the most important things to do with this type of tool is use it on glass first.
Break it in on glass if it's brand new. It's worth mentioning, paint cleaning clay, specifically ours, is completely, it's not 100% non-abrasive because you're abrading the surface with something, but it's going to be, there's no added abrasives in it, and it's going to be the most gentle option to use. You will see different grades of traditional clay out there that the higher, the medium and severe grades will have abrasive added, but a standard paint cleaning clay like our clay bar, it's very mild. It's going to be the gentlest way to do it. So if you have specifically soft paint, sometimes that can save you, especially if you're not going to be doing paint correction after.
Yeah, I think we're kind of painting the picture of a horror story, but you're going to figure it out one way or another if your paint's soft or not. If you use too aggressive of a clay bar, our standard clay bar that's been traditional for, and the standard forever is the least aggressive that we offer.
Yeah.
Would I trade some of that, gentleness for the speed with which those offer on a certain car, right? I'm not going to use, I'm not going to approach my 63 Lincoln with a repainted water-based clear coat with an aggressive speed-based decon approach. I'm going to touch that car very slowly and take my time with a clay bar. If you've got a 20-plus-year-old single-stage paint, you're unsure if it's soft or hard. This is the great place to start. If you got a modern day clear coated car that's 5 years old, you're going to love the speed and utility and flexibility of the Surface Prep tools and never look back.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions comparing these tools too. I think Andrew Drummond asked, is the Surface Prep mitt better than the synthetic clay pad on the G9? Just different strokes for different folks, honestly. The Surface Prep mitt, is obviously manual. You're not using it with a machine. It's a little more versatile in terms of what areas you can hit with it. If you're doing a really big surface, I like using the surface prep pad on the G9 if I'm doing like an RV, a boat, a big giant truck with big flat sides, that sort of thing. But typically I use the mitts or the synthetic clay pad.
One of the biggest things about this synthetic clay technology that I love too is that, we've dried the car, right? So we've said that drying is an opportunity for us to damage the paint system based upon it being super dirty and our towel being inferior, whatever. Just horror stories out here.
Yeah.
They're risks we have to
Yeah.
acknowledge.
Yep.
If I can minimize the amount of time I dry the car or touch the car, fantastic. So with this
sure.
type of technology, we can utilize a fresh bucket of car wash soap on a clean, still wet car
Yep.
and use that car wash soap or wash solution as a lubricant. So before I dry the car, I actually can decon it really quick.
Yeah.
Speed. Big white commercial truck, man, I don't want to dry the car and then use speed shine and dry it again.
Yeah,
And
hit it
so
quick.
it's a wonderful, opportunity to introduce some speed and decon your car more often.
Yeah, especially if you're not out in direct sunlight, that sort of thing. But we'll get to the process here. So speed shine is going to be our primary lubricant for the surface prep mitt or any clay tool. Like Nick just said, one benefit of these is you can use them with clean diluted car wash soap on a clean vehicle. But we're going to use speed shine right here since it's dry. You don't need a ton, you just want to evenly coat the surface. I like to spray my tool as well. And then I'm going to come in perpendicular to the direction that my fingers are pointing. If I go this way, I'm going to get pressure points, and I'm not going to evenly decon that surface. So I'm going to go perpendicular to the direction my hand or fingers are pointing, go up and down.
You can definitely hear this too.
Yeah, I mean you can hear that contaminant down there, and then the surface that I've done, much quieter. I think you get more of an audible effect with a surface prep mitt or a synthetic tool as well than you do with the clay bar, but you'll get it with either. You can also feel it as you go.
I mean, it's an immediate change.
Yep.
Right? So this car isn't extremely contaminated because one or two passes with this is pretty much going from, nails on chalkboard to, smooth.
Yep.
That's great. That's kind of the audible, and you'll definitely feel that in the friction, as you're applying this yourself.
Yeah, it's a very tactile process. It's super satisfying because you get immediate results and they're drastic. Just make sure you stay perpendicular to the direction your fingers are pointing, and that's really going to be true no matter what tool you're using.
It's also something that, even if your car is clean and been in storage, under a cover, and you pick it up and it's got dust, so I'm going to do a quick detail or wipe down, hey, opt for a rinseless. Stay safer, right, first and foremost. But then you might also be something's wrong with my car. It's not looking as good as when I put it away with the cover on it. Oh, some of that dust is settled. It's now below surface contaminant. A quick clay can definitely change the look of your car. And if that car is well protected, it can compromise a little bit of the durability of the protection, but shouldn't strip it all away.
No.
But it will, improve the look of the car. So
I've always told people it's one of the highest value per amount of time you're going to spend processes that you can do to your vehicle.
well, and we were talking about this too. We had, a ceramic 3-in-1 base on this car, and midway through the winter we were washing it. It's oh my gosh, below the belt, it's looking like it died.
Yeah.
On a lifespan that I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah. Yep.
Car's clean, but I'm looking at the water behavior. What's going on? We clayed it, and all of a sudden, the protection was back there. So there was just so much embedded contaminants that it was masking the protection's ability to show that it was still there.
Yeah.
So that clay was like a mid-season step that, again, we got problems. We're just overboard. But I'm hey, I put the wax on this car. I want the wax to show me what it's doing. And it was a quick step to kind of refresh it.
Yeah, you can also do this process, in the scenario that Nick was just talking about, where you're kind of doing it mid-season and you want to reinvigorate protection that's already down. You can do this with our ceramic speed shine as well. If you have a coat of ceramic 3-in-1 or ceramic liquid wax down, that ceramic speed shine will help top it Man, been talking for almost 2 hours. My throat's getting dry. And that'll help reinvigorate it, bring back that protection.
Yeah. And then enthusiast asks, you want to look at the water behavior too?
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
we should be able to see, we have not clayed this, but it is clean. We have clayed this. We might see a difference in that water behavior just as we talked about. But based upon what I saw, it looks like the fender's got protection. These doors are done. But see if some of that surface contamination was masking it. I'm going to say I still want to reapply protection, but the speed of the water on that door versus this door leads me to believe that some of the contaminants that were embedded in the paint, hey, we're hiding that protection. There's not going to be any difference, in my mind, between how these vertical doors with the exact same seams are treated.
Yeah.
Or how they're abused. But that decontamination definitely changed it.
Yep.
Now, we're still going to proceed as if we're going to reapply protection on the paint.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we'll dry this back up and coach you through the next steps really quickly. And then I do want to show the glass trick before we go, because we're running out of time. We gave some stuff away.
Yeah, we'll finish it off with that one.
Once again, guys, if you are inspired, we do have an ongoing sale right now. That is a free 22-ounce bottle of HD wheel cleaner with any purchase of $30 or more at griotsgarage.com. Stevie's going to put the code up for you. You should sign up for our email list because all of our upcoming spring promotions are going to happen pretty soon. So if you're not on our emails, that's the first place we generally debut all of our spring sales. And then if you haven't signed up for our catalog, you will get that. And then you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yep.
We are going to be back just over a month from now with another live where we will be talking about protection and a couple other spring topics, in particular with the launch of ceramic liquid wax. We're going to be featuring that and be in full throat for spring season. Date to come, but follow us on the socials. You'll see that coming up. And we do these once a month. We love them.
Yeah.
And then anybody who didn't get their question answered, tune back in on Friday, which means subscribe to the channel. To see if you won something and we answered your question and no questions left behind, which Sam and I get to do tomorrow.
Yeah. And if you guys are still here, thank you. This has been a long one. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe, please. Helps us out a ton. So, you want to do the pleasure of ceramic glass?
Yeah. So again, ultimately, at this point, guys, we have decontaminated the car. Mario is saying protection is gone. I agree. I'm not satisfied with this being my protection standard when I've done all this cleaning work and prep.
Yeah.
I'm going to apply a new level of protection. The biggest question I have is, what else did Mother Nature do to my vehicle during this winter season and my, lazy washing process? Oh, okay, I didn't subject it to anything external, like a wash tunnel of death. I'm going to take an inspection light and see, how many swirl marks am I fighting? Is this worth, doing a polishing step? Maybe I can get away with an all-in-one, like ceramic all-in-one, just to brighten the paint up and set it up for the spring through summer season. But after that mechanical decon and the paint being smooth, it's time to assess the paint and then choose on our protection path. Now, a kind of a fair weather vehicle, I'm always going to opt for Carnauba for the best look. But if it's a car that's been in winter, been undercover, we talked about decontamination being a good step, just expose the true nature of the paint. Then we're going to inspect the paint. If you've got 4 to 8 hours of correction to do after winter to get your car show season ready, okay, guess what? That's fun. We're gonna make our car look the best. For this car, as well as I tend to maintain it, I'm still having a hard time finding heavily concentrated swirl marks that would say I need a substantial correction process.
Paint looks money.
And so I can just go straight to reapplying protection. Now, why is that? I drive this car all the time throughout the winter. It's because every care regimen is you know, really diligent, and I take that care. You know, so when we ask, why do we need a foam cannon? Why do we, you know, avoid the wash tunnel of death? It's because when it comes time to, you know, a sunny day on spring and I'm getting ready for show season, do I want to spend 4 hours doing it? Sure, if it needs it. Would I rather not? Yeah. Each maintenance touch point leads to me looking at this off-road vehicle saying, I don't have to polish this thing. That's great. I'm just going to wax it. Fantastic. Reapply some wax. Get on our way for the good weather season.
Yeah, and really, I mean, you know, could you find some light defects in there? Sure, but being like you said that it's your daily driver, you're going to keep using it. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is where you make those decisions of, okay, what's my next step?
Well,
what am
or
I using
like
it for?
if I'm looking at this a year from now and saying I skipped it last year, now's the time.
Yep.
Right? Now the buildup is such that, you know, versus like, oh, I washed poorly 4 times and I've got to polish it a month from now. That's terrible.
Yeah.
We want to avoid that situation versus like, hey, we're in a great spot. We're under no pressure. You know, is it a black show car Lincoln that every scratch is going to be judged? No.
Yeah.
Okay. What makes you happy? Do you enjoy this thing? Yeah, I'm going to go get brush scratches down the side, and Sam's probably going to be the one that puts them in. And then Sam and I will work together to remove them after we had so much fun.
I know my truck has lots of them. I don't recall the handle, but a couple of you have asked, you know, do you have to strip protection all the way off before applying new? Technically you don't, but we do recommend applying to a completely bare surface so that you get the best results and the maximum durability out of the new protection you're applying. Great way to ensure you're getting exceptional results is that foaming surface prep wash. Unless your protection is really recent, that will strip the vast majority of all of it off. If it's really recent protection or something really durable, it may not get it all. But coming in with a surface prep cleanser, wipe down, following decon is also going to help ensure maximum results. So that's for this situation. We're not going to polish it at all. We're just going to throw protection on. I'm going to hit it now with this. If you were to be doing polishing or paint correction on this surface, I would do that first and use this during wiping off your polish or compound residue, or after you're completely done, come back and go around the whole vehicle with surface prep cleanser before you apply protection. Really easy to do. Flashes extremely fast. Don't need a ton of it. Just, you know, spread it evenly over the surface and then come in and quickly flash it off the paint. You know, flip to a dry side, do a final buff to get rid of any streaks. And this just helps remove, you know, any silicone left behind from that speed shine step, or if you've done a polish, you know, or a paint correction process, any compound or oils left behind from those residues.
Yeah. Okay, so of course we had fun. Tons of people tuning in. Thank you guys so much. Definitely, you know, I think somebody said acknowledge the crew in the back. Like,
Yeah.
no, we never do. All they do is
I was
us
going to
stress.
actually give them some credit.
No, this is the reason we can talk for a couple hours about this kind of stuff is because we have excellent team members and they are behind the camera. So Matt, Nick, Stevie, and Julie are making it smooth for us, and they're handling everybody who want to give away. Sam and I could stand up here and just talk at each other until our throats dried out, apparently.
Yeah, we have the easy job.
Yeah,
Don't let him
but,
fool you. We're going back to our closet after this.
Okay, well, yes, we never actually stuff, you know, all of our employees in the closet. Only some of them. Mostly, you know, they're retail store employees that are related to other employees in the building. So
Yeah.
We just
But-
lock Sam in the wash bay until midnight so he can finish detailing your car.
yeah, it's not a bad place to be. And no, Sam is not going to do the other 3 wheels. I'm going to drive it home tonight. So
Yeah. I got to split after this.
So we got
late.
one really cool thing I want to show you too, because we definitely had delusions of doing convertible top and glass and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
one of the things we definitely established is paint surface, and I think you'll do ceramic 3-in-1 at least, just in terms of a base layer.
Yeah, really quick demo.
We would definitely have the option to do our ceramic liquid wax or ceramic 3-in-1 as our spring base layer. And then 12 to 24 hours later, we could layer with an additional coat. That, in a good weather season, is going to get you all the way through, no questions asked. Unless, again, you go abrade it with either a tunnel car wash of death or branches on a forest ranger trail.
Yep.
But glass is one of the things that if you prepared for winter correctly, you're going to have good durability on it. In particular, your side vertical windows, anything that's not abraded by a windshield wiper should still be holding on if you've used our glass sealant. But one of the most wonderful things, again, what you saw here, we kind of saw some water behavior change when we decon this. Your glass is the same thing, right? We can decon this glass and take whatever's sitting in the glass and potentially get some of that glass sealant performance back out of it. One of the quickest ways to do it is with our ceramic glass cleaner and that surface prep mitt. Not only will the ceramic glass cleaner, leave more protection behind, it will lubricate for that decontamination step. So you're kind of doing two things at once. Just a fun trick that we discovered, post-development of the ceramic glass cleaner, and something I definitely want everybody to leave with. I was coaching my best friend Hayden, who's an attorney. He's very, very literal. I was trying to help him remotely while I was on vacation. Didn't get it. So I'm going to show you all, because I'm going to show him this video tomorrow. But really, just lubricate the glass with ceramic glass cleaner. And if you've ever had any finicky times with this product, it's just don't use a lot, right? And make sure you're not trying to dry the window with a wet towel.
Yeah.
But with glass, again, it's pretty easy to get straight lines and flat surfaces and make a big difference. And no audible contamination after just a couple passes.
No.
We'll come back and dry that off, and
easy to do.
So fast. So
Towels are important when you're doing glass too. If you have ever had streaks from ceramic glass cleaner, make sure you're doing a 2-towel method, or at the very least, flip into a dry side of a towel to do the final buff like Nick's doing here. Don't let your towel get saturated through and expect it not to leave streaks behind.
Yeah, I think we get a lot of confusion too. I mean, I saw a really educated YouTube influencer the other day say that as he flashed the product, it was streaking. Well, no, you just didn't dry it, okay?
Yeah.
Thoroughly dry is a way to avoid streaks. If you thoroughly dry it and streaks appear, that's definitely indicative of potentially too wet of a towel or over application of product. But just like I can take this moist towel and put a flash streak there. That is just, I didn't dry that properly. I just put it back in. I come back with a dry towel and make sure that I dry to a finish where I don't see those visible streaks. If they come back, then yes, that's problematic.
Yeah.
But don't stop your drying process because, it's streaking. No, you just haven't dried it.
Really, that 2-towel method, coming in with a totally fresh towel after your initial wipes and drying or going over the surface again after it's dry will ensure no streaks. Let's see. Michael Linkus asked, what was the last product Sam was using, the blue one? That was Surface Prep Cleanser. So that's an awesome product. It's kind of a secret weapon that's really great to maximize your performance of whatever protectant you're putting behind. Someone asked panel wipe before a coating. That's your product.
Panel wipe before carnauba, panel wipe before you coat your wheels.
Before any protection. I love using it as a glass cleaner as well. Just probably not on tint, but everything else, it's awesome. Great
sunglasses,
paint wipe product.
Every time my mom comes over, I clean her iPhone and her eyeglasses with it. I'm like, Mom, is your eyesight that bad that you didn't clean your damn glasses? Like, okay, this is why you have children, so they can do stuff for you.
Yeah. Steve Martin says his truck's stored outside and elements year-round as a daily driver. What protection would you recommend? I would definitely use either ceramic 3-in-1 or our new ceramic liquid wax. Both those options are going to be very durable and give you, likely around a year, if not more, in most scenarios. That's pretty conservative, especially if you're taking good care of the vehicle and hand washing it with a good pH balanced soap. Ceramic 3-in-1 wax is super easy to apply. I want to kind of show you two methods. I'm going to do the lower door, just spraying it on and wiping it off, and then I'm going to do the upper door with one of our microfiber applicators, which has quickly become my favorite way to apply this. So couple sprays. Again, you don't want a lot of this product or it's going to be difficult to dry it off and you may get streaks. It's probably our most common mistake that folks make with this is using it too liberally on the surface or not swapping their towels frequently enough. So just 2 quick mists there, Gonna wipe it evenly across the panel.
Spread it, right? You're spreading it
Yep,
first.
spreading it, exactly. Flip my towel or grab a fresh towel, and then quickly buff it dry.
Yeah. So it acts just like a spray wax. It's a little bit more reactive, which is why there's that sensitivity, but that you don't get with something like a Carnauba. But more towels, less product. Spread it with either a microfiber applicator or your first pass and wipe and flash with your first towel, and then come back and clean or dry it completely. As your dry towel becomes saturated, cycle it. Now it's your spread towel. Get a new dry towel. You know, you just keep the towel cycling going.
Yeah, then the microfiber applicator has become one of my favorite ways to do it. You can, a lot like applying a coating, you just soak your applicator. If you're doing it outside, especially if there's wind, this is a great way to control overspray and prevent you from having to go back over areas that, you know, overspray is getting carried onto. So pretty liberal application to the applicator. Grab your towel, your completely dry towel in one hand. I always like using the PFM towels to buff this off. They're very absorbent. Makes it really easy to get around intricate areas like door handles and stuff like that, but just spread it evenly over the surface.
It's a way to prevent overspray too.
Yep.
Some people just are used to kind
Yeah,
of
or overusing
hand-
it.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
hand waxing, so it still goes fast. And in fact, the speed of spraying and wiping over larger surfaces sometimes becomes people's enemy as they try and get too big and then overextend their towels. Not that the product couldn't be worked, but they just saturate their towels. So,
Yeah. Towel control is important too. Keep your towel folded in half.
you know, Leah
Twice.
Vitek has been a great participant. I don't know that she's asking questions that tell me she needs a foaming kit, but I want to give her a gift certificate because it looks like she at least needs some microfiber and foam pad cleaner. If she's the towel washer, which is the Lord's work, right? Nobody likes washing and folding microfiber towels, but there is a very important way to do it so that they don't get destroyed. Our towels are expensive, so I think, you know, I'm gonna pick a grab bag for Leah for your participation, and probably at least a PFM drying towel and some microfiber foam pad cleaner. Again, guys, this has been fun. I mean, we could be here for 4 hours.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you all sticking with us, and hopefully you still find these educational. Hopefully, if this is your first time coming, you'll come back for more. And this is the time to get excited about detailing because we're coming out of the doldrums of winter. We get a chance to really spend some time with our cars and transform them based upon how bad they've looked for months. Nobody's guilt tripping you for being a little less than diligent through the winter because we're right there with you. But with good care, you know, and the right processes, you can get right back to, you know, potentially better than you entered the winter. And, you know, of course, we'll see you, you know, a month from now for the next topic. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Sign up for those emails because our spring sales are coming fast and furious, and you don't want to miss those.
What's the winner email again? Isn't it winners@griotsgarage.com?
If we indicated you are a winner, email winners, right? Or just winners. Yeah, winners@griotsgarage.com. And we will get you your stuff. So as soon as you have a nice day, you'll go have some fun foaming and get your car cleaned up. But thank you, bud. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you again to everybody behind the scenes making it fun. I mean, 2 hours. Holy crap.
Like and
that went fast.
subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Tell our bosses that we know what we're doing. Or the bean counters, right? Thanks, guys. Have fun in your garage.
Have fun in your garage.